Today we're going to do mushroom turkey burgers. Now this is a recipe that is written a little different than others. Research has shown that a lot of us don't use all of our safety procedures. We know we're supposed to do them, but we just don't remember when we're actually making the food. So these recipes that have come out actually have the steps. So the first step is wash your hands, which I've just finished doing. As I said, it's mushroom turkey burger, so we'll see how the other part of that goes. But I've got a pan warmed up to about medium high. I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil to it. You could use whatever kind of oil you've got on hand. I'm using just a regular vegetable oil. Looks like it might be just a little bit high. I'm going to turn it down. And then I've got 8 ounces of mushrooms that I've chopped fairly well. I want to get them down to about the size of the ground meat that I'm going to use, which is ground turkey. So I've got them chopped up fairly fine. You don't have to go all the same size, nor do you have to go excessively small, because remember, these are going to have water in them. They're going to shrink as they cook. So I'm going to stir them together a little bit here, try and get them coated with oil. And then they're going to cook somewhere between 5 to 7 to 8 minutes, depending on how high your heat is, whether you have breeze blowing over it like we do today. We just want to get them till they're starting to turn kind of golden. Okay, you can see we've started turning a little bit golden brown. So I'm going to turn these off. And we want them to cool for about 5 minutes, because when we're going to add them to the meat, we don't want those to be cooking the meat for us. So I'm going to put a towel here, take this off the heat, although this burner actually turns off fairly well. All right, we'll let those sit. I've got a pound of ground turkey. Ground turkey comes in a variety of degrees of fatness, so choose the one that is most appropriate for you. We're adding some oil to the pan as we go. We've added it for the mushrooms. We'll add it again later. So even a thinner one is going to cook fairly well. I've got one that's got a little bit more fat because a lot of that flavor comes from there too. But again, choose the one that's best for you. To this, I'm going to add a tablespoon of, or part of a tablespoon, as some blows away, of onion powder, half a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of kosher salt, and then a tablespoon of soy sauce. Now, this is where we're going to get our hands dirty again. So I'm going to wash mine before I start working with the meat, because I want to make sure that I'm not transferring anything into it. Remember, when you wash your hands, you're using soapy water, and you should wash them for approximately 20 seconds. Make sure you get all of your hands as well. This is partly the reason that you shouldn't be wearing a lot of jewelry while you're cooking, because microorganisms are going to hide under jewelry. You also don't want to lose stones into the food as you're cooking. So this is ready for us to work with. You can work with either a spoon or a spatula, or you can work with your hands. There's not a rule against working with your hands unless you have a sore on your hands, in which case you'd wear a plastic glove over that. You don't want to work it too much. We don't want to overwork the meat. It tends to make it more tough, which in turn makes it less juicy. But we do want to incorporate all those ingredients that we just added, so that one person doesn't get to enjoy them all and the other people don't get to enjoy any of them. You're going to spread that out just a little bit. Wash hands again. And now we're going to add our mushrooms. Now the reason for the adding of the mushroom is that we've chopped it up so that it resembles the size of the meat that we're using. Mushrooms have a lot of that fifth taste, umami, so we get a lot of flavor. And as long as we keep the quantity of mushroom down around 20 to 25% of the quantity that we're working with, most people really don't notice a lot that there's mushroom there. So if you like the flavor of the mushroom, you may want to bump it up. If you don't want people to, or you don't in fact like the flavor of the mushroom, then you can decrease the amount a little bit. But it keeps the meat moister and also adds flavor without us having to add a lot of other ingredients that might increase the sodium content. I've used soy sauce and salt in here already, which you think, well, she's adding those ingredients anyway. But I've used a light soy sauce or a lower sodium soy sauce, so that I've got less than I might have otherwise. Okay, we're just going to work these in, and when that's worked in, we're going to divide it and make 4 patties out of it. And then we're going to put a little bit more oil in our pan, bring that back up to heat, and we're going to cook them on each side for about 5 minutes. The pan has been wiped out. It's heated up a little bit again, and another tablespoon of vegetable oil. You could use a nonstick vegetable spray on this if you chose, or if you have a pan that's a little bit tricky to make things come out, you could actually use both. So just make sure that you get it up to heat before you start adding your ingredients. You can see that the patties are formed the way you would form any kind of meat patty. I've got an indentation in the center a little bit because it's going to shrink up, and that's going to give you a little bit more even patty as they cook. Once we get these in, the recipe is going to tell you to once again wash your hands. 5 minutes, flip them, 5 minutes. Check the heat. You may want to look under them a little bit. If they start to get a little bit too glazed or too dark on the bottom, you can go ahead and flip them over. There's not a rule that says you can't flip them more than once. You just don't want to press on them when you do. Okay, once these have cooked and you think they're getting pretty close, then it's time to take the temperature. This is how you tell when meat is done, not poking it or hoping for the best. But in order to take the temperature of something that's fairly thin, like a ground beef patty, or in this case, turkey patty, we need to do it in from the side as opposed to down from the top. So what I'm going to do is insert the thermometer and rest it on top of another one. And since these are poultry, we want the temperature to get up to 165. If you're doing ground beef, it'd be 160. So there's a little bit of difference there. This one's already perfect where it needs to be. We're ready to put it onto the bun. Decorate it however you prefer to have your buns decorated for patties. Because this one has soy sauce and some other things, I've actually got a slice of pineapple and some romaine lettuce. You could put some ketchup on there. You could put some additional soy sauce. Pineapple salsa might be really awesome. This is really all there is to it. It's fairly easy to do. It doesn't add a lot of time. All the chopping can be done ahead of time. And it's a healthy and nutritious way to add a little bit of difference to your diet. I hope you'll give it a try. For Oklahoma Gardening, I'm Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.